Alright, let's get started. So with your number 2 pencil or any type of pencil that you're using, go ahead and divide the page in half. And again, we're going to be drawing Kratos from God of War, the video game. Alright, so we go ahead and put your oval in for your head, lightly. Remember, don't apply too much pressure, making it dark. You might need to go back and erase later. Alright, once you've got the oval shape in for the head, we're going to go ahead on and measure. Index finger and thumb, move it down. This is where his chest is going to end, where the thumb is. Move it down again, and this is where his waist is going to be. Alright, so now that we have those two marks, go ahead and put an oval just under his head. This is going to be for his neck. I'll make it a little wider because Kratos has a pretty wide neck. Right off of this oval shape here, we're going to come around and make a huge oval shape for the torso. Lightly put it in like so. And of course, off of his waist, right underneath here, you're going to put a simple box shape in for his waist. Come straight across underneath the oval shape that we applied here and measure that by one head on either side. I'll move it over. This will be for the left side, mark it. Same thing for the right side, mark it again. Now we know where we want to put the oval in for the shoulders, so go ahead and put that in on either side. And between that, or in the center, I always say put like a little dot, not too much. You want to be able to get rid of it later. Come down, bring his elbow in, and then go right off the page. It's about where his waist is. So if you want to know where to put the other elbow, there's your line that I just put in place here and here. Have that line come down, elbow, and then go off the page. Now, you can divide this for the chest. And we pretty much have the skeletal structure for Kratos. Now I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on his face so you can see a closer look at what I do with his features in his head. So go ahead and put his eye line in here, just like I did, straight across. What I normally do in every drawing, put a line here and a line here. This is where the front meets the side of the head. Now once you have these in place, you can easily know where you want the eyebrows to go in. So right off of this line here, you want to come down to the center and repeat the same thing on the left side. And for the eyebrows, what I normally do is I usually take 2 lines to make the thickness. I don't usually scribble it in with the pencil because sometimes one is thicker than the other. You try and eyeball it. Okay, put a line straight across there, just like this. Once you have that accomplished, go ahead, we're going to put his eyes in. So with his eyes, come up just above the line, come down like this. Do the same thing on the left side. The eyes are usually a football shape, so you can go ahead and close it off. And remember, keep it simple and light, not complicated. And these are just characters, so you don't want to overcomplicate this, make it fun. With the eyebrow or above the eyebrow, you want to put a line here. Come up with a frown kinda, and then repeat the same thing on the other side. And there's a forehead line above that you want to put right there. Now for his eyes, you want to put a line in the center. This right here, what I'm doing is helping you center where you want his eye to be so that he doesn't look cockeyed or his eyes don't look strange. So go ahead and put that in. Do the same thing for his right eye. Mark it and put that in the center. And then at that point, what I like to do with these characters that are pretty dark, just put like a dot in the middle. It kind of gives it more of a sinister look. Do the same thing here. Okay, now we're going to move down to his nose, so put a line here for the nose, right here. And simply bring a line down like so. And what I usually like to do with the nose on a simplistic level is draw a circle and then go to the outside for the nostrils, up a little higher, come down to the center, put a line here on the left side, come down to the center, and come around and put an arc right there. And then you could close off the bottom of the nose by coming straight across like this. And then for the other side, have another line come up straight up like this. Because at this point we are forming the face of Kratos. Now, we're gonna put his mouth in. So come down just a little bit, not too low. And then put an angry shape in for his lips. Dip in the middle and then go down on the other side. Almost like he's scowling, I think that's the word, or frowning. And then put little indentations on the edge of his mouth like this. All right, just underneath the top lip, you want to come down a little bit and put a simple line right there. Now at this point, we're building his face. So with the features, you're going to come outside of his nose and put a line here like I'm doing, and do it here as well. It makes him look more menacing. The more features you add in there, that's what makes the character look more menacing and mean. So we want to come in from the outside with his cheekbone in and stop right here. Do the same thing with the left side. And under his eye, he got a little frown in there like that. Now we're going to deal with the outside of his head. Okay, so notice earlier I put in these temple lines for you. So this is so that you know where the edge of his head should be. So let's go ahead and put the edge of his head in. Come up to the top of the line that I drawn in earlier. And come down the other side. Then what you want to do is you want to do his jawline. So come right off the edge here. And then come around. And I'll move back so you can see. Just underneath his cheekbone, do the same thing for the left side. That's how you can kind of measure where things are in relation to everything else. And then you can go ahead and put his hair. He has a chin piece or a hair that comes off of his chin. Just come straight down to the center like this. And then underneath this lip, he has a hair that comes from his lip down to where the hair is on his chin. Just like this. It almost looks like an arrowhead. So if you look at this shape in here, just call this an arrowhead. It kind of looks like an arrowhead to me. Okay, so now we're gonna come back up to the top of his head and kind of put in a temple line, kind of like a contour for the front of the head and side of the head, just like this. Do the same thing for the opposite side, but just not quite as much. So I'm gonna go ahead and put his ears in. For his ears, I'm just gonna measure the distance between the eyes and the nose and use that and come up off there and bring his ear in and then close it off where the bottom of the nose is. Repeat the same thing for the left side, so that way you can try and get some symmetry. Making sure it's equal as possible, as much as you can. Bring a line in off the top, do the same thing here. And notice we're building, we're doing step by step, and then put a line in here. And feel free if I'm ever moving too quick, you can pause the video if you need to catch up, no problem at all. All right, so now he also has a scar that comes just above his eye and right on his right cheek. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that in. So just put a line in and put it dark enough so that it stands out. Come down just like this, move over, and come down past the bottom of his cheek line. And put little slits. It's kind of like, it makes it look like it's been stitched up or healed. So you want to get that look going. Now, for the top part, he does have paint that comes around the top of his head here. And then off the center line here, off the edge of his head rather. Then it comes down over his eye and into his cheek like this. Now I'm going to switch back out to the number 2 pencil and we'll start sketching at his body. So what we want to do is come right off his chin line and put his neckline in down to this line right here. Go ahead and put that in. And his shoulders are pretty broad, so right off of his jawline, you want to have a curve that comes around like this. Do the same thing for his left side. All right. Then you want to, let's go ahead and put in his shoulder line. So you want to do a hump here or a hill shape and go over to where this is. Let me get rid of this so it's not confusing. And we're going to put his shoulder in and then come around like this. Lightly put it in around the circle figure here. And then go on the other side and put his other upper chest muscle in here. lightly put that in because he does have a armor piece that goes over his right side. Now for his chest, you just want to come around like this to the center line. Take that all the way around to the bottom where we have this line indicated here. And then raise it just above this point. And then complete that line. Then go on the other side, and you want to you don't want to go all the way to the line. You want to break it in the middle, come around, use this line as a guideline, come back up under where this is on this side. So right now we're building the figure, the anatomy. Okay, so we'll go ahead on and complete it. Put everything in his body in first. So at this point, what I want to do is go ahead and put, you know, he has the nipples here. And they kind of follow a contour here where his ribcage is. So what we're going to do is go ahead and put his ribcage in lightly, or his wingspan right here. Go straight down for his waist. And repeat the same thing for his left side. Really what we're doing is following the oval here. And then going ahead and putting the waist in. Now, we're going to work on his left arm and put his bicep in. So that's going to come into the body and come around like this. We're going to have a line that comes into the center where the elbow line is and come around like this. And meet that line there. Now underneath this, we're going to get the back side of the arm, which is the tricep muscles, and just simply bring it around like this. Now this is the bicep, and we want to bring the top side of this part of his arm. And then bring this line in like this. This is the upper chest, the pectoral. And then for this part, you're going to put a line here. It's a curve. And then bring his arm right off the page like this. Now I'm going to do the same thing with his right arm. It's come around the forearm. This circle indicated here will help guide us and shape the muscle. We're going to do the same thing with the bicep. Come into the body, out, and around. And just to be sure, I'm going to take my two fingers here and get them as close as possible. So I have this one here and this one here. This is another technique where you can know where this is supposed to come down to. Bring it around like this. Come underneath the body with the bicep, with the tricep, in and around and out like this. And then this part cuts in like this. And then go to the outside, like this. And repeat the same thing. He has something that actually goes over his forearm. It's like a guard. Not sure what it's called, but we want to make sure we draw that in and go off the edge of the page. All right. Alright, clean this side up just a little bit for clarity. Now, I'm going to move to his ab area. So right here, we're going to come underneath here. And this is what I call the M. Part of the chest, underneath the chest rather, is an M shape. And you want to come to the outside of that, just underneath, again, we're going to set the guidelines here underneath the chest area. And go ahead and put that in. Move down underneath that. And then this will be a W shape, but it won't be extreme. Go up a little bit, curve it, come on the outside. Whenever you're working on what people call a six-pack or abs, they just repeat themselves, and once you do 2 or 3 of those lines, it will make that shape come together. So I have 1, 2, and then the last one I usually actually go off the obliques, which is a line that comes right off the page, like this. And I usually put the navel, or the belly button as it's called, right there. Then in between this, he has the ribcage muscle that comes in between here like this. And then you bring this out like that. Do the same thing here. Now, at this point, what we're going to start to do is we're going to start to dress him up a little bit. The first thing I want to do, he does have paint on his body, so we're going to come and take a line here. And then here, right off his shoulder, go over his chest, come to the center, and then come around off the edge of his body and move over. I always say when you're doing something like a tattoo or mark on the body, always move over slightly so it looks like it has depth to it, and come around his waist like this and go up underneath here like this and come back up. On his arm, he also has an arc that goes around his entire arm. So we're going to swing that around down to his forearm, and then it tapers in like this, and we're going to have it come in like that. Alright, now we're ready to put the armor in. So for his right shoulder, we're going to just simply come in, go around, draw right over top of his chest. Come over a bit, not too much, because he has another piece that goes over there as well. So we're going to leap that back around like this. Then we're going to come up and we're going to close that top by putting a repeated shape in. And then come in the center here, go back down. Now notice I'm doing overlap lines, and I always go back later and clean these lines up. And when you're drawing and building a character and putting different shapes and things on them like armor, you can always go back and clean these lines up later, and I'll show you that when I do my time lapse. Put another piece here, have it go over his shoulder, come around, and it's just underneath this piece right here. Okay. Now, he has a guard that covers his whole right side here and his forearm. So I'm going to go ahead and put a ring that covers this part here, and do the same thing here. I'm going to get rid of this so it doesn't confuse anyone. Now, we're going to have this part come off a little bit, go over, and there's a line that actually comes over to the center line. So what I'm going to do is come in, let's get rid of these lines right now, and we're going to draw right over top of his arm. So there's a guard that goes in and comes up off of his shoulder like this. And then we loop it around to the other side and repeat that shape. And so this is a border that we're creating right now. Come down, let it taper off his forearm, and go to the outside. And we can measure this by coming around and putting an arc like this for the whole shape of the guard on his arm. That will help us kind of give a limit to how far we want to go. And so you can come around like this and draw this in here on the other side of his arm, and then come into the middle like this. And he has a design on this, so I'm going to go ahead and put that in, and you can follow along, and then close the bottom part off like this. Now, in this space right here, what occupies this is a huge arc. So we're going to put a circle here like this, or an oval shape. Bring this around the entire shape of the armor, and it wraps around like this. So it's almost a swirl. So you want to go in a swirl shape. And I'm going to go ahead and clean this up a bit so we can see a little clearer. Get rid of these for his arm. Now, repeat this and put the same shape in and follow this all the way around. This whole arc has a repeated line, so just come in and create another border for it, and that'll be it. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Lightly put it in, it creates the shape on his armor that covers his arm. Get rid of this. And then repeat this, put another oval shape within that shape. And we're going to put repeated lines in here. 1, 2, 3. It arcs around like this. Follow the shape. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Alright, so this is the armor piece that covers his right arm. And below that, he has another piece that covers his forearm, just like this. We're going to just come in and then put another piece over top, just like this. And we'll let it come around just underneath the other armor. And you'll see what I mean. Put an arc here, close that arc. And then come out to the side. Now what happens is right in here, it kind of repeats the shape here. So you want to have a curve that comes around and follow this contour straight down like this. And you're just going to put lines here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Not too much. Let that go off the page. So at this point, we can bring this line up like this so we can continue the anatomy here. On this side of his arm, what we're going to do is he has chains here, so we're going to put some chain links in, and what we'll do is put triangular shapes and oval shapes. So this is one, and you'll have the oval shape go off, and then repeat the same thing here. So whenever you do chain links, just think about repeating shapes over and over again and going back later and adding a detail. So for now, we're going to have this come around like this, and like this. And you can have some chains go this way. And remember, at this point, you're lightly putting everything in. It's not completed, so feel free to sketch this stuff in, and then you can always correct it later if needed. Then maybe have some chains going this way, because pretty much Kratos has overlapping chains that kind of goes off his forearm. Repeat that shape, and it's going to come under here and then go off this side. Do the same thing for his right arm. We're just going to have a few chain shape comes underneath his forearm guard off the edge like this, and do this. And remember, when you're at this stage in the drawing, you can repeat a lot of shapes. They repeat themselves, so don't be alarmed and have to worry about doing too much or changing too much. They are the same shape repeated over and over again. And then for his waist, I'm going to put in, he has usually some type of belt that has a ring on it. And then just keep it simple. I'll make it metallic and go off the edge of the page. Just like that. Now, if you've drawn up to this point along with me, you have just completed Kratos drawing. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to time lapse and clean everything up and shade in parts that needs to be shaded. And if you like to, at the end of the video, you can feel free to pause it if you need to and take a look at the completed version of it.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe by clicking this round button at the bottom. Also, click one of the 2 videos at the top. Please like this video, tell a friend, and share it on Facebook. Thank you.
The Art Hitman.